don't know about you, but life can be a bit crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. There's so many people talking about depression, and as Peace Tree Network, we've just been thinking through how to advocate against this and help people out through this, and that's really key for human rights. And we thought, why? I'm sure there are a couple of artists who would be willing to speak to people out there, you know?
Yes. In fact, for this particular edition, as you can see, we are seated on what we want to call the bench. This is because the next artist we're introducing is heavy with words. The kind of person who makes you reflect and think, you know, and really look at what you're doing with your life.
Like I am right now. Check this out.
Yeah. So you're about to be...
You're losing the name. You're about to be bombasted.
No, you are about to be educated. educated by RixPoet.
Yeah,
yes.
He is just, he's that soul. Let's just leave it at that, yeah? He's that soul.
Have a conversation with his soul.
Deep.
Yet again, you're welcome. Thank us later.
My name is Onyango Otieno. I'm also known as RixPoet. I write poetry, I write music, I like to dance, and I'm a fun person. I started writing when I was 16, at a time of my life when things were pretty difficult for me in my home. I came from a very violent home. My parents fought a lot. That's one of the reasons, probably the major reason why I write poetry. I ventured into arts because it was my only way to have an outlet of expressions. Growing up as a firstborn child, I had nobody to talk to about my pain in my teenage life. And so the arts came to my rescue to help me through depression and the loneliness I was feeling as a young boy. And so throughout life, the fact that I watched my mother being abused a lot, and a lot of my aunts, due to my father's alcoholism and his brothers, I made a stand as a young person that I want to stand for the rights of women, because I didn't understand why women around me were abused and nobody was talking about it. And the system of patriarchy affected my aunts and mothers a lot when I was young. And so because of this, a lot of my artwork is geared around women's rights and spirituality and self-awareness, because I think most people in this world do not know who they are, and so that causes a lot of pain, and people live with a lot of disengagement about who they are as people. And just by that fact that the lack of self-awareness has created a lot of pain, I think my work as a person in this world, as an artist, is to help them see who they are beyond what mirrors tell them. Yeah. I am about friendship. I'm about community, a lot of community. I think the fact that capitalism has taken us away from each other, and so life is moving so rapidly, so much, that we forget we can't make it without one another. And that forgetting one another has created a lot of disengagement in communities and societies, and so much that we view each other with indifference as opposed to relations. And so this has gone a long way, again, in creating a lot of pain and injustices that go about all over the world, because when I stop relating to you, then it's easy for me to abuse you. It's easy for me to be unjust to you, you know. And so my work is inspired by that. I want people to come back home, to come back to their roots, to come back to the things that bring them together, you know. Without that love, without the friendship, without community, I don't think we can ever heal from anything. And just by the simple fact that I watched women around me being abused, I started seeing just how impossible it is to develop this world if women are not included in conversations about development. And so I always want men to understand that whatever we want to create can never work if women are never brought, like they're never brought on board, you know. And it's supposed to be a very basic thing in this world, but it's unfortunate that with what's going on all over the place, people sort of find abuse and segregation and isolation as a way of keeping power to themselves, you know. And so this again has inspired many wars, many relationships to falter. And for me, just because the child in me wanted to have a normal family where people just have a safe space for each other, my poetry is always about that, getting people back together and helping them see the power of togetherness, you know, Ubuntu. So because I grew up in a violent home, I experienced a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder that got me into depression for a couple of times in my lifetime. And surviving through that was not really easy, by the fact that you don't know how to talk about that darkness and that pain. And so in my late 20s, when the bout of depression came again, I really wanted to understand it, you know, because I figured out if I don't take care of this thing this time, it's gonna take me out, you know. I was suicidal when I was 16. I ran away from home. I wanted to go kill myself somewhere and nobody knew me. And overcoming depression cannot be said in a sentence. It's like a lifetime, because every day you wake up to make very deliberate decisions, to work with your mind, to overcome problems, to overcome your mind working against you, to face your fears, to face the fears of your friends, you know. And being an artist is worse because people look at you for light, and so when yours is dim, then you know you have to reach out to somewhere deeper. The good thing about it is it pushes you to the edge and you can create better artwork. The downside is if you go, you really just go, you know. So for me, I started looking at myself as a human being first, because many artists get lost in their work. We forget that we need friends, we forget that we need to be vulnerable to people around us. And I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be part of a statistic that, oh, this young male person died as a result of what, I'm part of some percentage number that the government will say somewhere. I wanted to be counted as among the guys who survived, who lived on to tell a good story, that we can overcome depression, we can talk about mental illness to our fellow Africans and they can understand it. So my job right now with my life, I'm very inspired by the fact that we have more spaces where we can talk about mental illness and help people understand what mental health is all about, because this thing does not even exist in our languages, you know. And so the interesting thing about that is I've found myself growing into different phases of my life. So now it becomes very difficult to say, this is my purpose, you know. But at the bottom line is, I want to help people to improve the quality of their lives, because I want to have a good life too. Yeah. Look what we did to our women, that they spend sleepless nights replacing their faces with plastic, animal hair, aiming for cheap glory. These wigs are just weeds of their broken parts because we told them they were not good enough. Tell me, can a man walk with horse property on his hair? Look what we did to our women, friends. We said, your breasts are too tiny. Oh, you need spotless legs. Where is your dashboard? You have too many pimples on your face. Oh, you'd better be good in bed. She crumbles. We did not see the soul of their beauty, didn't hug them a second tighter, blew their teeth out when they cooked food we didn't like. Now, they can't even afford a smile. We devised cultures and religions that dehumanized them. You shall not eat this part of the chicken. No eggs for you. No school. Go to the kitchen. That old man will marry you, inherit you. Your thoughts and decisions don't count. Keep quiet. Go to the kitchen. Cross your legs. No trousers. Go to the kitchen. Keep quiet. I want sex. I want a son. The women who carried you in their heavy wombs, 9 months, the puking, the swelling, the mood swings, the stone eating. The women who stayed when your fathers left. The women who forgave you when you cheated. The women who traveled to hell to give birth to you. They created you, they fed you, and then you grew. You became a man, then became a fool. We said, woman, you are weak. That weakness became their lives. Now we batter them. Now rape them. Now call them dirty things. Now kill them. Now spit on their faces. Now mock their mothers. Until the day we shall know the sacredness of their wombs, the reverence of their minds, the power of their words, the God in their souls. Until the day, this doom is ours. The war is on. Men shall know no peace. The women you strip with your eyes hold the key to your future. You know not their names, know not the courage they have to put on every morning before leaving their homes, praying not to meet you or your friends who sexualize even their invisible body parts. These women are your trees. You're dry without them. You cut them down to disintegrate their unity in your power struggles. Don't want them to be preachers. Don't want them to be priests. Don't want them to teach you wisdom because you're afraid of their power, because you know you're weak, because you abuse them in the light but beg for their vaginas by night. Because you have a poor mind, a dead spirit, you kill their stories. Because they're better than you, but you'd rather rape them than accept it. Your society has taught you to be ignorant. You're filthy with dirt in your heart. The trees you cut only make your earth desperate for more of them, for the air, the rain, the truth. You and I know it is not men who run the world. We know who does. We're just afraid to admit it. Men control resources and wars. They run governments and chauvinistic policies, but the world is not theirs. The world is for the producers, the life givers, the mothers.
I hope you had an amazing time with Rix the poet. His passion for women empowerment is actually what led Peace Tree Network into partnering with him. He's an amazing person, you know. His drive actually resonates with one of PTN's main objective, which is to have a gender equitable society. And aside from this advocacy program, we have actually had many activities such as trainings, workshops for women in leadership, forums, just to be able to ensure that the objective is met. And I am so glad to have had RixPoet for the same set. I hope you felt the same way. And stay tuned because we're going to be having amazing acts coming in right up for you. And subscribe to those channels.